Hare Krishna. So we'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We are discussing from Srimad Bhagvatam. We are on Canto 3. And we are on which verse?
27.
I think we have to start.
27. First chapter 27.
Anyone remembers we were on which verse?
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
20. Hare Krishna. 26, 27.
Just a minute, Pooja. I'm not able to hear. Just a minute. Yeah. Yes, Pooja. You can speak now.
27th row.
Verse 27th of?
First chapter.
First chapter. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so in this third canto, we saw in the end of the second canto how after describing after answering various questions of Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami, he continues and he was about to answer the description of Padma Kalpa. So then the sages of Naimisharana, they say, Suta Goswami, please wait. You told that, Vidurji, he came back and Yudhishthira welcomed him, and please, where all he went, why he left his home, which was the place of residence of Krishna, where Krishna had lived. And we have heard that he met Maitreya Muni also. So what was the conversation which happened between Maitreya and Vidura? We want to hear all of that. So then Maitreya Muni, then Suta Goswami continues. He says that actually Parikshit Maharaj also asked the same question to Shukdev Goswami. And then he continued the description that how Vidurji, because he was giving regularly counseling to Dhritarashtra, and he was telling, just throw this son of yours to Duryodhan. He will destroy your entire family, entire dynasty, because he is envious of Supreme Lord. Saesha dosha purushas dvidastre grihan pravishtoyam apatyamatyaha. But Duryodhan, he heard all that, and then he banished. He told that this Vidur, he is the son of a kept mistress. Who asked him to be here? Throw him out of the palace and leave him only with breath. So Vidurji, he considered this as mercy of the Lord, Urumanayanaha, and he left. He kept his bow on the gate, on the door, and then he left. And he went to various pilgrimage places, and then ultimately he went to Vrindavan. And on the bank of Yamuna, he met Uddhava. And Uddhavji, he was absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. So 25th verse says, Vasudeva anucharam prashantam brihaspate prakatanayam pratitam So he was absorbed in remembrance of Krishna. He was great associate of Krishna. And when he saw Vidurji, he embraced. Uddhav embraced Vidur. And then Vidur, he asks Uddhav, please tell me about the Supreme Lord. He had just heard in Prabhasa that Krishna has left, all the Yadu dynasty has departed, all the Kauravas have died, but still he cannot accept the fact that Krishna has left. Where this has happened previously, somebody is not able to accept that, oh, this my near one has left. In the first canto, we heard this. When Yudhishthir Maharaj, he sees Arjuna coming back, and although he could understand by all the inauspicious omens that Krishna must have left, but the entire 14th chapter gives all the speculative inquiries of Yudhishthir Maharaj. He cannot accept, because the person who has spent his time with Krishna, how can he bear separation from Krishna? The 10th chapter verse, where it is said that a person who gets association of devotees of the Lord cannot leave the association. What to speak of the Pandavas? They were staying with Krishna. They were walking, they were eating, they were dining, they were doing everything with Krishna. What is that verse? The two verses, which are very, very famous verse. I'm not able to recollect them. So in that, it is said that Pandavas, they could not bear separation from Krishna. Similarly, here, Vidurji is not able to accept the fact that Krishna has left. And therefore, he is asking Uddhav again, please tell me about the Supreme Lord. Please tell me how is Krishna, how is all the Yadu dynasty. And in 27th verse, he says, please tell me whether the best friend of Kurus, our brother-in-law Vasudeva, is doing well. He is very munificent. He is like a father to his sisters and is always pleasing to his wives. Okay, so we'll continue from the 28th verse. So in 28th verse, somebody can read the translation?
Uddhava, please tell me, Uddhava, please tell me how is Pradyumna, the commander-in-chief of the Yadus, who was Cupid in the former life. Rukmini bore him as her son from Lord Krishna by the grace of Brahmanas whom she pleased.
Okay, so now he's asking about Pradyumna. And who was Pradyumna? He is son of Krishna. And he was Cupid personified in the previous life. And he was Cupid. So, and we know the whole story. Bhagavatam describes how the wife of Cupid, Rati, she became the kept mistress. She became maid servant in the house of this Banasur, and ultimately the whole battle was arranged. And then in that battle, Banasur was killed. So he's asking about Pradyumna, and he's saying that Rukmini, she bore Pradyumna from Krishna by the grace of Brahmanas whom she pleased. So please tell me about that.
Rahul Gandhi and Congress party, they have been making these claims that how democracy is being under.
Okay, so then next verse. Translation. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, Smara is one of the eternal associates of Krishna. Jiva Goswami has explained this very elaborately in his treatise Krishna Sandarbha. Okay, next verse. Translation.
Oh, my friend, tell me whether Ugrasena, the king of Satvatas, Vrishnis, Bhojas, and Dasarhas, is now doing well. He went far away from his kingdom, leaving aside all hopes of his royal throne, but Lord Krishna again installed him.
Okay, so basically in this way, he's asking about all the relatives of Krishna, and that's why he wants to know, are they all well? So this is how he's not able to accept that Krishna has left. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that, so Prabhupada is elaborating on the word adhokshaja, lebhe anjasa adhokshaja sevayeva. So Lord is known as adhokshaja, he is beyond the reach of the senses. Renouncers of the world, the sannyasis, give up all worldly connection to attain the transcendental bliss of Brahman. But adhokshaja happiness is beyond Brahman happiness. Rupa Goswami describes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu there are various levels of happiness. There is Jad Sukh, Jad Anand. Then there is the bliss of Brahman, Brahmananda. And there is bliss of Bhakti, Bhaktiananda. So Bhaktiananda is topmost. It is far, far greater than any other happiness which one can experience in this world. What to speak of Jada Ananda. Brahmananda is also insignificant in front of the bliss one can get by practicing bhakti. Therefore, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we hear that even Advaita Acharya, who is Mahavishnu, who is Lord Shiva himself, he wants to become the servant of Krishna. Krishna Das Abhiman Ei Ananda Sindhu Koti Brahma Sukh Nahi Tara Eka Bindu. So the bliss of becoming servant of Krishna, the devotional service, is so very wonderful that nobody can compare to this. Nothing can compare to this happiness. So that's the Brahmananda. So therefore, adhokshaja happiness means the happiness which one experiences by practice of bhakti. So in we discussed which verse? No, 29th, right?
Yes, Prabhuji, 29 actually was.
Sorry, I started discussing 31st verse. Sorry. So in the 28th verse, in that previous verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes something about this Cupid. He says, because of his emotions, Vidur does not ask this question in proper order. So first he asked about Pradyumna, and then later he asks about Ugrasena. So first he should have asked about Ugrasena and then about the younger people. But Vidurji is in complete. So therefore he is not able to maintain the chronology, proper etiquette that I should ask about Ugrasen first and then about the other people. So therefore he asks about Pradyumna first, and then in the next verse he asks about Ugrasena. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, Kamdev is a devata and Pradyumna is acting as a human. However, the real truth is different. Kamdev is Pradyumna's vibhuti or expansion. So Sankarshan, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So Krishna's son, Pradyumna, is actually one of the Chaturvyuha. So when this Pradyumna appears as son of Krishna, the part of Pradyumna is also Kamadev. Kamadev enters the body, enters the, as one of the part of Pradyumna. And, that's how his Pradyumna is combined avatar, combined personality of eternal Pradyumna of Chaturvyuha and Kamadev also. So, and then Prabhupada writes about Jambavati also. It says Jambavati performed austerities to get Kartikeya as her son cannot be taken literally, since Jambavati and Rukmini are the Swarupa Shakti of the Lord and do not need to perform sadhana to get Devatas as their son. So all these are, Cupid is a devata, Kartikeya is a devata, but one should not think, oh, they prayed to Lord to get devatas as their son. No, it was not needed. So Pradyumna is the eternal associate of the Lord, eternal Chaturvyuha. And that's how Kartikeya is. He appeared as the son of Jambavati. Samba is the son of Jambavati. So he's also expansions of the Lord. So Kartikeya, along with Kartikeya, entered the body of Samba. So that's what he describes. And then in 29th verse, he asks about Ugrasena. He went far away from his kingdom, leaving aside all hopes of his royal throne, but Krishna again installed him. So Ugrasena is a very, very interesting character, although he is not known to be a very, very powerful king. And Rupa Goswami quotes in one of the verses describing that Lord is pleased only by devotion, nothing else. In that he says, Vyadhasya charanam dhruvasya chavayo vidya gajendrasya ka kubjaya kimuna marupa adhikam kim tat sudamno dhanam vamshasko vidurasya yadavapate ugrasya kim paurusham. Ugrasya kim paurusham. What was the strength of Ugrasena? He had no strength practically in front of Kamsa. He was in a prison house. But because he had intense devotion for Krishna, Krishna again installed him as king. And Vidurji, Uddhava will tell in the next chapter that he says that I am really astonished. Ugrasena, he would give instructions and Krishna would take those instructions and execute them. What was the need for Krishna to execute instructions of Ugrasena? He is a supreme lord. Krishna didn't accept the kingship. He made Ugrasena as the king. Although everybody knew Krishna is Dwarkadish, but still officially Ugrasena was the king. So that is the beauty of devotion. Krishna always wants his devotees to go ahead of him. Okay, next verse, translation.
O gentle one, does Samba fare well? He exactly resembles the son of the personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva. And now he has been born in the womb of Jambavati, the most enriched wife of Krishna.
So then he is asking about now Samba. In previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of wife of Lord Shiva. So that's how Chakravarti Thakur writes in the purport that just a minute. Okay, Prabhupada writes in the purport, Lord Shiva, one of the three qualitative incarnations of personality of Godhead, is plenary expansion. What is the meaning of plenary expansion? We have discussed this earlier also. Plenary expansion. This is a very common word, plenary expansion. Plenary means in the parliament also they say there is plenary presentation. Plenary means all the members of the parliament are present. So plenary means when all the Shaktis of the Lord are present in a particular avatar. That is called as plenary expansion. So Lord Shiva is plenary expansion. Of course, there is some difference. There are 5 qualities which Lord Shiva doesn't have, which Vishnu has. Vishnu is Avichintya Mahashakti Koti Brahmand Vigraha Avataravali Bijam Hatari Gatadayakaha Atma Ram Gana Akarshti. These are the 5 qualities which Lord Vishnu has. He is the source of all the avatars. He has inconceivable potencies. All the universes come from him. Whoever is killed by Vishnu gets liberation, and he attracts even Atma Ramas. Kartikeya, born of him, is on the level of Pradyumna, another son of Krishna. When Lord Krishna descends into material world, all his plenary portions also appear with him to exhibit different functions. But for pastimes of Vrindavan, all functions are performed by Lord's different plenary portion. Vasudev is the plenary expansion of Narayan. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that Amsha and Amshi are considered non-different. Similarly, Shiva is considered non-different from Krishna. He's Amsha of Krishna. But Amsha and Amshi, they're non-different when it is talked about in case of Krishna, because all the expansions of Krishna, although they are Amsha of Krishna, but they are having all the powers of Krishna. Similarly, he says Shiva's son Kartikeya considered an Amsha of Krishna's son Samba, and is not different from him. So Kartikeya entered Samba. Chakravarti Thakur writes, Kartikeya entered Samba. Kamdev entered Pradyumna. Vasu entered Uddhava. Uddhava is one of the Vasus. One of the Devtas. So that is the understanding. There are two personalities in one. Kamadev and Pradyumna. Kartikeya and Samba. Vasu and Uddhava. It's like Mahavishnu and Advaitacharya is considered as Mahavishnu also and Sadashiva also. So there are two personalities.
Hare Krishna
Okay.
Prabhuji. Hari Bol.
Yes, Prabhu.
So Prabhuji, Amsha can be considered as part of Krishna. So Amsha cannot claim he is Krishna. That is, my understanding is clear. Amsha cannot claim that he is Krishna. But Amshi can claim that he is all, because everything is inclusive of Krishna. Like Narayana, when addressed as Krishna, that is fine, but Narayana cannot be claimed as I am Krishna.
All these, when it comes to avatars of Krishna, they are many times spoken in an interchangeable way. It's like whenever there is some, I'll just put to mute, there is some background. So when it is about Krishna and Vishnu, although for technical understanding we know that they are different, but all the Vedas, they mention, whenever Krishna is about to be described, many places Vishnu name is given. Anyone can tell me any other bhajan or any other verse where instead of Krishna, Vishnu is used? One of the verses we hear, we speak, we chant every day.
Tulsi Arati, na? In Tulsi Arati at the last end, we were supposed Vishnu Bhakti. So it is actually addressed to Krishna as Vishnu.
Yes. So that's how, whenever this material world is the predominator, the controlling deity is Vishnu. And the Vedas, they are talking only about the Vishnu Tattva. So whenever Krishna is also mentioned, the word used is Vishnu. In fact, in Ras Leela also, what is the last Falashruti of Ras Leela? In that verse also, Vishnu comes. Anyone remember the last verse, the Falashruti of Ras Leela? Whoever hears these pastime of Krishna with the gopis, Ridrogam Ashu Aparinoti Achirena Dhiraha. Verse, just I'll just search up. That is another example of where the word Vishnu is used.
Even Vishwadev also addressed Krishna as Vishnu actually in his prayer. I just remember that prayer. His address also Krishna seeing as Vishnu only. Vishnu means he is Narayana actually.
Correct. So in that also, this Raslila verse says that Vikriditam Vrajavadhu idam cha Vishnu Vikriditam Vrajavadhu idam cha Vishnu Shraddhan Vitosh Yadathawar Bhaktim haro bhagavati pratilabdha bhavo hridrogamashu apahrinoti achirena dhiraha vikriditam. Anybody who hears the pastime of Vishnu with gopis, where is Vishnu here? It's Krishna. But still, Vishnu word is used many times in Bhagavatam and in very many scriptures. So when it comes to avatars of Vishnu, the terms are used interchangeably. And we should understand this, that okay, it is ultimately talking about the avatars of Krishna. But when it comes to expansions of Krishna, that means Vibhinnamsha, living entities, they are never called as Vishnu avatars. They are Vibhinnamsha. There is Swa-amsha and Vibhinnamsha. So all the Vishnu avatars, they are Swa-amsha. And on the living entities, they are Vibhinnamsha. So that is understanding. So, 31st verse, translation. Somebody can read?
O Uddhava, does Yuddhana fare well? He learned the intricacies of the military art from Arjuna and attained the transcendental destination, which is very difficult to reach even for a great renouncer.
So in this, the word Adhokshaja is used here. And then Prabhupada talks about Adhokshaja, Brahman happiness and all that. And then in this purport again, Prabhupada describes about the various potencies of the Lord. And there is one Ladini Shakti. Prabhupada writes, Brahman bliss is enjoyed by living entities after liberation from material bondage. But Parabrahma enjoys eternally a bliss of his own potency, which is called as Ladini potency. So then Prabhupada writes about three potencies, Samvit, Sandhini, and Ladini. So all the yogis, although they may try their best, but they can never experience this Ladini Shakti. Because the Jnanis and yogis cannot reach that Ladini Shakti. We have heard in the previous discussions also that Mahamaya has three potencies: Prakriti, Vidya, Avidya, and Prakriti. So, or Pradhan. So the Avidya potency has two parts: Prakshepatmika and Avaranatmika. And Vidya potency has a function of making one realize the Atma. So all the Jnanis, they access this Vidya potency of Mahamaya. And that's how they can experience Atma Jnana. But to experience Paramatma and to experience Bhagavan, one has to take shelter of Yogamaya. One has to add Bhakti element in that. Otherwise, if Bhakti is not added, they will not get the result. Shreya Shrutim Bhakti Mudasyate Vibho Klishyantiye Kevala Bodha Labdhaye Tasam Asokle Tesham Asokle Shala Eva Shishyate Nanyad Yatha Sthula Tushavaghatinam. This is about the yogis, about the Jnanis. All the Jnanis, if they don't add Bhakti in their practices, they will not get the result. It is like beating the empty husks of rice. So that's what Prabhupada is writing here. The yogis and the Jnanis, they are not able to enter the internal potency. They can never access Yogamaya by their own endeavor. This internal potency is easily realized by devotees of the Lord by dint of devotional service. Yuyudhana achieved this stage of life just as he achieved expert knowledge in military science from Krishna. So Prabhupada is talking about this devotee, Yuyudhana. Although we know in Bhagavad Gita when Duryodhana is counting the soldiers on the side of Pandavas, he takes the name of Yudhana, Yudhana Viratascha. But he is a great devotee of the Lord also. It is mentioned here, attained the transcendental destination, which is very difficult to reach even for great renouncers. So that's how all the great warriors of Bhagavatam, of Kurukshetra, although they may be described in Mahabharata as warriors or Kshatriyas, but they have their devotional part also. That is described in Bhagavatam. Okay, next verse. Translation.
Please tell me whether Akrura, the son of Papalka, is doing well. He is a spotless soul, surrendered unto the personality of Godhead. He once lost his mental equilibrium due to his ecstasy of transcendental love and fell down on the dust of a road which was marked with the footprints of Lord Krishna.
Okay, so now he's asking about Shwafalka. Shwafalka is Akrura. And he once lost his mental equilibrium when Akrura was sent by Kamsa to bring Krishna. As he entered Vrindavan, he saw the footprints of Krishna and he practically became unconscious. He fell down. He rolled in the dust of Vrindavan. Vaibhav mama dhamasyapi syadeva chuta darshana riyamana kalanadya kvachittarati kashana. And he's praying to the Lord. Oh, what fortune I have received today. Today I'll get darshan of Krishna. Just like in river, by some inconceivable fortune, inconceivable arrangement, two straw particles, they come together and then they get separated. Similarly, by some inconceivable fortune, today I will meet Krishna. Riyamana Kalanadya. Kalanadya means in the river of time. Sometimes a particle comes up and gets, to the surface. So today I'll get darshan of the Lord. Akrura, he is actually the epitome of which limb of devotion?
Remembrance, no, Guruji? No.
Sorry?
Vandanam.
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 What? Yes, he is the epitome of Vandanam. So generally we don't hear so much about the prayers of Akrura. So in the Bhagavatam, when Akrura enters Vrindavan, he offers beautiful prayers. That is the only place where we get to hear the prayers of Akrura. But he is described as the emblem of Vandanam. He offered beautiful prayers. So that is what Vidura is asking. Please tell me about Akrura. He fell down unconscious. So Prabhupada writes about that. He says, such a pure devotee of the Lord is naturally faultless because he is always associated with supremely pure Lord. Constant thought of the Lord is the antiseptic method for keeping oneself free from the infectious contamination of the material qualities. So as Ishopanishad describes, the Lord is described as prophylactic and antiseptic. Anyone knows the exact Sanskrit word used for prophylactic and antiseptic? And very wonderful words Ishopanishad describes. Shuddham and apapaviddham. He is antiseptic, Shuddha, and apapaviddham. No fault can touch him, no sin can touch him. So when Lord is supremely pure, anybody who comes in touch with the Lord, he also becomes purified. So pure devotee of the Lord is always in company of the Lord by thinking of him. And then Prabhupada gives the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed the typical example of transcendental ecstasy, as we can understand from the life of this incarnation of God. So he was always exhibiting symptoms of ecstasy. Shved, Kampa, Romanch, Ashru, Gadgad, Vaivarnya, Unmad, Vishad, Garva, Harsha, Dainya. All these symptoms were continuously there in the body of Mahaprabhu. The next verse, translation.
As the Vedas are the reservoir of sacrificial purposes, so the daughter of King Devaka Bhoja conceived the Supreme Personality of Godhead in her womb, as did the mother of demigods. Is she, Devaki, doing well?
So now, after asking about all these other personalities, he's asking about Devaki. She's son of Devaka, King Devaka. So Prabhupada focuses on this word, Trai. Trai yatha yajna vitanam artham. So Vedas are reservoir of sacrificial purposes. So the daughter of the king, Devaka, conceived the Supreme Lord in her womb, as did the mother of the demigods. So mother of demigods means Aditi. She also conceived Vamana Dev. So Devaki also conceived Krishna. So he's asking about Devaki. So Prabhupada writes, there is no difference between the Vedas and the Lord. Vedas aim at the ultimate understanding of the Lord, and the Lord is the Vedas personified. Vedaisha sarvairahameva vedyo. Devaki is compared to the meaningful Vedas and the Lord to their purpose personified. So he asked about Devaki. Then
Thank you.
thirty-fourth verse, translation.
May I inquire whether Aniruddha is doing well? He is the fulfiller of all the desires of the pure devotees, and has been considered from yours to be the cause of the Rig Veda, the creator of the mind and the fourth plenary expansion of Vishnu.
So then he asks about Aniruddha. He is a fulfiller of all desires of pure devotees. So these are very, very wonderful descriptions Vidurji is giving about the various members of Krishna's family. Aniruddha, he is a fulfiller of all desires of pure devotees and has been considered from Yor. That means from the beginning of creation. Yor means from the beginning of creation. So Prabhupada writes about that how of the Adi Chaturbhuja, the original expansions from Baladev are Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. All of them are Vishnu Tattvas. So in that Aniruddha, who is Aniruddha? From him Mahavishnu comes. So all the various Vishnu Tattvas, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Shirodakshay Vishnu. So Mahavishnu comes from Aniruddha and Garbhodakshay Vishnu comes from Pradyumna and Shirodakshay Vishnu comes from I'm not able to remember. So one of the, I think Sankarshan from Sankarshan. So second Chaturbhuj, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So Aniruddha, Prabhupada writes, Aniruddha is also the cause of Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu comes from Aniruddha. So from Mahavishnu comes all the universes. And ultimately, all the Vedas, they come from Mahavishnu's breath. They are the breathing of the Krishna, Mahavishnu. So all this is nicely explained in Markandeya Puran. So Prabhupada writes, in the incarnation of Lord Krishna, Aniruddha appeared as son of the Lord. Lord Krishna in Dwarka is the Vasudeva expansion of the original group. The original Lord Krishna never leaves Golok Vrindavan. All the expansions are one and same Vishnu Tattva, and there is no difference in their potency. Okay, next verse.
O sober one, others such as Ridhika, Charudeshna, Gada, and the son of Satyabhama, who accept Lord Sri Krishna as the soul of the self and thus follow his path without deviation, are they well?
Next verse. (36) translation.
Also, let me
inquire whether the Maharaja Yudhishthira is now maintaining the kingdom according to the religious principles and with respect for the path of religion. Formerly, Duryodhana was the burning with the envy because Yudhishthira was being protected by the arms of the Krishna and Arjuna as if they were his own arms.
So then after asking about all the family of Krishna, now he's asking about Pandavas, headed by Yudhishthira Maharaj. Api Swadorбhyam Vijayachyutabhyam. So in the first canto also we heard that Yudhishthira Maharaj was maintaining his family following the instructions of two people. Who are they? They are following, he was following Achyuta Yatha Muktam Atha Achyutoktam. So he was following the instructions of Bhishmadev, Krishna. So that's how he was maintaining the entire family, entire kingdom. So that's what he's asking. He's now maintaining the family according to religious principles and with respect for the path of religion. And why he is asking, he says, because Duryodhana was so angry, so envious of Yudhishthira Maharaj, because he was so powerful and he was protected by Bhima and Krishna and Arjuna. So please tell me about Yudhishthira Maharaj. Prabhupada writes, Yudhishthira was emblem of religion. Sampada Kritavo Loka Mahishi Bhrataro Mahi Jambudvipadhipatyam cha Yashascha Tridivangataha. He had such wealth. Sampada Kritavo Loka. He had so much wealth. Mahishi, wife of Yudhishthira, was famous. Draupadi was famous. Bhrataro and all the brothers headed by Bhima and Arjuna were famous all over the Mahi. Mahi means earth. Jambudvipadhipatyam cha, and he was ruling not just earth, he was ruling entire Jambudvipa. And his fame was spreading all over the heavenly planets also. Yashascha Tridivangataha. Bhubhasva, everywhere the Yasha, the Kirti of Yudhishthira was famous. So Prabhupada writes that after the battle of Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhishthira was again able to rule his legitimate kingdom, and he reinstated the principles of honor and respect for religion. That is the beauty of a kingdom ruled by pious king like Maharaj Yudhishthira. So that is the understanding. So because Yudhishthira Maharaj is such a pious king, he was ruling the kingdom with the help of Krishna, with the help of Bhima and Arjuna. And that's what Bhishma, he says, Aho kashtam aho anyayam yadyuyam dharmanandana jivitim narata klishtum vipra dharmachyuta ashraya. You are taking shelter of Vipra, Dharma and Achyuta. Still so many calamities came. You had best of the strength in the form of Bhima. You had best of the skill in the form of Arjuna. You had best of the guidance in the form of Krishna. Still problem came. So it is so very astonishing. Yatra dharma suto raja, gadapani vripodara, Krishna stri gandivam chapam, surit Krishna, tato vipat. But still, all the problems they went through, ultimately Yudhishthira Maharaj came out victorious because he never left the path of dharma and path of devotion. Then in the next verse, he asks about Bhima. Yes, somebody can read translation. 37th
Whether
verse.
Please tell me whether the unconquerable Bhima, who is like a cobra, has released his long cherished anger upon the sinners. The field of battle could not tolerate even the wonderful playing of the club when he stepped on the path. Hare Krishna.
So Bhima was literally hissing like a snake. When in the Asat Sabha, when Duryodhan, he slapped his thighs and indicated Draupadi to sit on the thigh, Bhima was really angry. And he took a vow that I'll break the thigh of Duryodhan. So that's what he is asking. He is reminding. Prabhupada writes, Vidur knew the strength of Bhima. Whenever Bhima was on the battlefield, his step on the path, and the wonderful playing of his club were unbearable. Powerful Bhima did not take steps against the son of Dhritarashtra for a long time. Vidur's inquiry was whether he had yet released his anger, which was like that of a suffering cobra. When a cobra releases its venom after long cherished anger, its victim cannot survive. That's why Duryodhana knew that for me there are two most formidable warriors on the side of Pandavas, Bhima and Arjuna. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, when Duryodhana is recounting all the names, he compares all of them to whom?
Bhima Arjuna Samayudhi.
Bhima, Arjuna, Samayudhi. They are all equal to Bhima and Arjuna, because for Duryodhana, Bhima and Arjuna are the barometer. ये इनके समान हैं, so that means they are very powerful. Next is Arjuna. He asks about Arjuna. Yes, translation.
Should I?
Whether
Whether
and he is always famous amongst the chariot warriors for vanquishing his enemies, he is doing well. He once satisfied Lord Shiva by covering him with arrows when Shiva came as an unidentified false hunter.
Yeah. So this is the pastime which happened when all the Pandavas were in Vanvas. So Arjuna, he went to get Pashupatastra. He wanted to get all the celestial weapons. He wanted to get Pashupatastra also. So then he did tapasya for a long time, and then Lord Shiva appeared in the form of a hunter, and Uma appeared as the wife of hunter. And there was a demon who was about to attack Arjuna, and he had taken the form of a boar, wild boar. So as this boar was charging towards Arjuna, Arjuna could understand that some animal is coming. So he took his bow and Gandiva and he shot arrow. At the same time, another arrow came and hit this boar. And that was the arrow of Lord Shiva. And then there was a debate, argument that, oh, why you shot this arrow? And Arjuna was telling, I saw this animal first. I was about to kill. So then there was a fight which started between Shiva and Arjuna. And Arjuna, he started throwing all the arrows, all the weapons he had. His quiver, the quiver was inexhaustible quiver. But when he started shooting arrows towards Shiva, all the arrows were entering the body of Shiva and getting vanquished, disappearing. And the inexhaustible quiver get exhausted. No arrows left. So Arjuna is now fighting with his Gandiva. He came and started attacking this, hunter with Gandiva. Gandiva also disappeared in the body of Shiva. Then he took his sword and then he attacked. That also disappeared. And then Arjuna was really bewildered. So then he sat down and he started meditating on Lord Shiva, and he offered flowers. There were some flowers nearby. So he offered the flowers mentally to Lord Shiva. And he saw that same flowers, they were falling on the head of this hunter. Then he realized that this hunter is none other than Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva says, I am really impressed by your strength, by your power. So in the 15th chapter, we heard when Arjuna, he comes back, he's remembering what all things I could do by the help of Krishna. It was Krishna who did everything. And one of the things he said is, I could astonish even Lord Shiva. And then Lord Shiva said, I am so very pleased with you. You ask for anything. So Arjuna, he asked for Pashupatastra. And Lord Shiva told him that you cannot use this against humans. And Arjuna knew that although I'll not be able to use this against Kauravas, but still he felt blessed by getting this Pashupatastra. Okay, next verse, translation.
Or the twin
Yes,
brothers
sir.
who are protected by their brothers doing the well, just as the guy is.
Oh, sorry. I muted you, Guruji. You can unmute yourself.
Or the twin brothers who are protected by their brothers doing well, just as the eye is always protected by the eyelid. They are protected by the sons of Pratap, who snatched back their rightful kingdom from the hands of their enemy Duryodhana, just as Garuda snatched nectar from the mouth of Indra, the thunderbolt carrier. Right.
So this Nakul and Sahadeva, they were always protected by Yudhishthir very nicely. That's why when in the Yaksha Prashna Prasanga, after Yudhishthir gives all the answers, Yaksha says, I'll revive one of your brothers. So what did Yudhishthir say? Whom you should revive? He asked for? Anyone knows?
Sahadeva.
Sahadev.
Yes. So Yaksha, he was shocked that this Sahadev is not such a powerful warrior. Why are you asking for Sahadev? You would have asked for Bhima or Arjuna. He said, no, my father had 2 wives. So from Kunti, I am still alive. So from Madri, somebody should be there. So Yudhishthir, he was really a emblem of, equal vision. He was Ajat Shatru. So therefore, and he would always take care of Sahadev and Nakula more than, his own brothers, because he knew that they need protection. So Prabhupada, he talks about the story of Indra. He carries thunderbolt and is very strong, yet Garuda was able to snatch nectar from his mouth. So this is a story where there's a fight between Garuda and Kalia. And because Kalia, why there was a fight between Garuda and Kalia? Because the mothers of Garuda and Kalia. Who is the mother of Garuda? What's her name?
Vinita, no?
Vinata. And mother of Kalia?
Kadru.
Kadru. So Kadru and Vinata, once they had a argument. They saw Surya and they said that the horses of Surya, they are white. So Vinata said the horses are white and the tail of the horses is also white. Kadru said, no, the tail of the horses is black. So Vinata said, okay, if I am wrong, I'll become your maidservant. If you are wrong, you become my maidservant. So Kalia heard this and he knew that actually the horses of Surya, they have white tail. So he went and he wrapped the tails of Surya horses of Surya. So then Vinata was defeated. Vinata became the maidservant. She was serving Kadru and Kadru was sometimes chastising her. Garuda did not like this. And then he went to Kadru and said, oh mother, I beg you, I request that you please release my mother. I'll give you whatever you want. So Kadru said, okay, if you are saying so, please get nectar for me from Indra. So then Garuda said, okay, I'll go and I'll get nectar for you. So then Garuda, he's so powerful, and he's fought with Indra and snatched the nectar from Indra. So Indra said, oh Garuda, what are you doing? You are giving this nectar to Kadru and she will feed this to her sons. They'll become so powerful. So Garuda said, look, my job is I'll give nectar to Kadru and then you can again snatch it back from Kadru. So after एक बार उसके हाथ में दे दिया, so then it is between you and her. So deal हो गया final. So Garuda brought the nectar and then gave to Kadru. And then Indra at that time came and immediately snatched the nectar and went back. So it is said that when Garuda, he was coming back, few drops of this nectar fell on Govardhan area, Vrindavan, on the bank of Yamuna. There is a tree, and on that tree, Krishna climbed. That was the tree on the bank of this Kalia Radha, where Kalia was staying. Everything was burned to ashes, dried up, but still this tree was still alive because Garuda had put some drops of nectar there. Then later Garuda came to know that this ab to Kalia ka kiya hua hai. Kalia had done all the mischief. So then Garuda attacked Kalia. So that is some background of that. So Prabhupada writes, Garuda was able to snatch nectar from Indra. Similarly, Duryodhan was as strong as king of heaven. And still, Pandavas were able to snatch away the kingdom from Duryodhan. So that's how, Vidurji is making a comparison. Just like Garuda could snatch nectar from Indra, Pandavas snatched kingdom from Duryodhan. Both Garuda and Partha are pet devotees of the Lord. And thus it was possible for them to face such strong enemies. Okay, next verse, translation.
Oh my Lord, is Pratha still living? She
We are not
lives
able to hear
only.
you.
Are you hearing, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Should I go ahead or somebody is reading? Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, is Pratha still living? She lives only for the sake of her fatherless children. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to live without King Pandu, who was the greatest commander and who alone conquered the 4 directions simply with the help of a second bow. Hare Krishna.
So, when Pandu died, so both Madari and Pritha, Kunti, they wanted to enter fire, Sati. So Madari said, if both of us die, who will take care of the children? One of us have to live. So then Madari said, let me die, let me enter fire. Because I know that you can take care of my sons and your sons equally without any partiality. I can't do that. Madari is telling to Kunti. That is the glorious nature of Kunti. Madari is telling, I will make distinctions. I will make partiality. I will treat my sons more, better. But you will not do that. I know this. And that's what practically Kunti did. She was always favoring the sons of Madari first. She was not thinking about her sons. So he is asking about that. She lived only for the sake of her fatherless children. And he talks about Pandu also. Pandu was a very, very powerful king. After Pandu was made the king, he actually traveled all over the world and he conquered all the directions. But then he developed all the feelings of renunciation, and then he left his kingdom and then he went to forest along with his wives. So Prabhupada writes about that in the second paragraph, last few lines. It is understood that Maharaj Pandu was a great warrior and that he alone, with the help of bow and arrow, could conquer the world's 4 directions. In absence of such a husband, it was impossible for Kunti to live as a widow, but she had to do it for the sake of children. Next verse, translation.
O gentle one, I simply lament for he, the Dhritarashtra, who rebelled against his brother after death. By him I was driven out of my own house, although I am his sincere well-wisher, because he accepted the line of action adopted by his own sons.
So now Vidur is remembering Dhritarashtra, that how, although I was a well-wisher from birth of Duryodhan, when Duryodhan appeared, from then on, Vidur is telling us, throw this child away. Because so many inauspicious omens appeared when Duryodhan took birth. the jackals started howling and so many things happened. But still, Dhritarashtra was so much attached, he could not give up his son. Prabhupada writes, Vidura never became an enemy of Dhritarashtra and continued to be his well-wisher. At the last stage of Dhritarashtra's life, it was Vidura only who proved to be his real friend. Such is the behavior of a Vaishnava like Vidur. He desires all good, even for his enemies. So that is how a devotee is. He is a real well-wisher. He is always a well-wisher of everyone. He never ever thinks that this person did wrong to me. Titikshava, Karunika, Surida Sarvadehina, Ajat Shatrava, Shanta, Sadhava, Sadhu Bhushana. They are well-wishers of everyone. Okay. Next verse. We'll recite this verse. Soham Harer Martya Vidambanena.
Soham Hare Martya Vidambanena.
Drisho Nrinam Chalayato Vidhatuhu.
Drisho Nrinam
चालयत विधातुः
Nanyopalakshya Padavim Prasadat.
नान्योपलक्ष्य पदवीं प्रसादात्
Charami Pashyam Gatavismayotra.
चरामि पश्यं गतिविचित्रः.
I am not astonished at this, having traveled all over the world without being seen by others. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others. But I know of his greatness by his grace, and thus I am happy in all respects.
So, of course, Nunam, Nripanam, Mada Utpathanam. So, the kings, that although despite his being the Lord, and always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, he refrained from killing the Kurus. He could have done it himself. Krishna killed so many powerful demons when he was in Vrindavan. For him, it was not a big deal to kill all the Kauravas. He could have killed them very easily. But he wanted to give credit to his devotees. So therefore, he refrained from killing the Kurus. Although they committed all sort of sins. And although he saw other kings constantly agitating the earth, Madhu Utpathana, all these kings, they were maddened, they were intoxicated by their wealth and their power. And what they were doing, Mahim Muhush Chalayatam. They were constantly agitating the earth by the movement of their soldiers, by their military phalanxes. But still, Krishna didn't kill. Last line says, they carried out all these movements under the dictation of three kinds of false pride. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that whenever there is decline in dharma, yada yada dharmasya glani bhavati bharata, Krishna appears. So Krishna, sometimes he does it himself and sometimes he does it through his devotees. Prabhupada writes, Lord Krishna tolerated the insult to Draupadi by the Kurus and the injustices perpetrated against the Pandavas, as well as insults to himself. Now, Duryodhana insulted him also a lot. He insulted Krishna a lot. But still, Lord tolerated all of that. Question may be raised, why did he tolerate such injustices? Why did he not chastise Kurus immediately? Prabhupada writes a very important, answer. When Draupadi was, somebody can read from here.
So the previous 42 we haven't done. We've read the 42. We did the translation 42.
Oh, okay. Oh, we were on. I missed one verse. Okay, we did missed. Okay, 42. Okay, taken. So we recited this 43rd verse, right? I missed 42nd verse.
No, 40,
We
47.
recited 42nd. And
We recited 42nd verse.
We recited the verse and the
Okay,
translation, but we didn't do the top part. We went to the 43rd.
Purport has not been said.
Okay, I went to 43rd purport. Okay, okay. So, Prabhupada writes, so this Soham Harer Martya Vidambanena Drishavandrinam Chalayato Vidhatu. So he says, I'm not astonished at this. Having traveled over the world without being seen by others, the activities of personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this world, are bewildering to others. But I know of his greatness by his grace, and thus I am happy in all respects. So Vidurji is telling that it is so very astonishing that Krishna acted like a person who is ordinary mortal in this world, and he behaved in a way similar verse, Uddhavji also tells in the future next chapter. He says, it is so very astonishing that Kalat manoyat pramadaya vitashrama swatman rate khidyati dhir vidamiha. That Supreme Lord, from whom fear personified fears, he is running away from, Jarasandh, and he is self-satisfied. He marries 16,000. Kalat manoyat pramadaya swatman rate khidyati. All these things are completely bewildering. Dhir vidamiha khidyati dhir vidamiha. So it is very, very bewildering. One of the potencies of the Lord is called as Virodha Bhanjika Shakti. All the contradictions are reconciled in Krishna's nature. Krishna can do anything. Just like Ishopanishad says, Tadejati, Tannejati, Tadure, Tadavantike, Tadantarasya Sarvasya, Tadu Sarvasyasya Mahyataha. He is near, but far also. He is inside and outside. So he is sitting near, but he is not there. Tad ejati, tan ejati. So that's how Krishna can resolve all the contradictions. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Dhritarashtra and his materialistic sons wanted to falsely lord it over the world by dint of their own strength. The Lord encouraged them in this, and thus they became more and more bewildered. So Lord just facilitates the desires of a living entity based on their karma. Whatever karma a person has done, and if he has certain desires, so Lord facilitates that. So, and that's why Lord encouraged Dhritarashtra and his sons. But Vidur wanted to achieve sincere devotional service and therefore became a surrendered soul. And then Prabhupada writes how he was not sorry when he was, kicked out of the kingdom. And then he says, when he was traveling in the forest in renounced order, he was completely free of fear. So one of the quality of a renunciant is abhayam. 16th chapter Bhagavad Gita begins with this. Abhayam, sattva samshuddhi, jnana yoga vyavasthiti, danam damasya yajnasya, swadhyayash taparjam. It begins with abhaya. So Prabhupada quotes that, abhaya. So when a living entity becomes dependent on the Lord, he is purified. Sattva samshuddhi. And Prabhupada writes, this stage of dependence is called as Sattva Samshuddhi, or purification of one's existence. The result of such purification is exhibited in fearlessness. So Narayan para sarve na kutaschana bibhyati swarga apavarga narkeshu api tulyartha darshinaha. So it is described Narayan para sarve, when Chitraketu was cursed by Parvati, he folds his hands and says, "Oh mother, I didn't mean it. I didn't want to insult Lord Shiva, but okay, I accept this curse." Guna pravahayitasmi, it is all the modes of nature working. What is benediction? What is a curse? What is heaven? What is hell? It is all modes of nature working. Kah shapa, kah anugrah, kah swarga, narkah kova, kim sukham, dukkham eva. And then he goes away. And then Lord Shiva is telling to Parvati, just see the glories of devotees of Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu. Narayana para sarve na kutaschana bibhyati. They are not fearful in any condition. For them, swarga, apavarga or narka, whether liberation or heaven or hell, it is all same. Api tulyartha darshinaha. That's what Prabhupada writes here. A devotee of the Lord is Narayana para. Never afraid of anything. Na kutaschana bibhyati. Then in the next verse, translation, Prabhupada writes, you can read the translation.
Despite his blessing, being the Lord and being always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, he, Krishna, refrained from killing the Kurus, although they committed all sorts of sins, and although he saw other kings constantly agitating the earth by their strong military movements carried out under the directions of three kinds of false types. Hare Krishna.
So Lord Krishna personally refrained from killing the Kurus. He could have done it himself. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that Lord wants to see his devotee as the hero of some episode which he himself performs. Prabhupada writes in the second paragraph. So Lord is Sarva Saundarya Sangraham Snigdha Pravridaghanashyamam Sarva Saundarya Sangraham Charuvayata Chaturbahu Sujata Ruchirananam. And one of the wonderful quality of Krishna, Sarva Saundarya Sangram, but the best quality of Krishna is Krishna likes to give credit to his devotees. That's what he wants to do always. And therefore, he wanted Pandavas to take the credit. And therefore, he didn't kill Kauravas himself. That's what Prabhupada writes here. Next verse, translation.
The appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activity are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all the persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material mode, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? Right.
Ajasya janmotpathanashanaya karmanya kartur grahanaya pumsam. Ajasya, he is unborn. So that unborn Lord, he appears for the annihilation of all the upstarts. Yada yada dharmasya glani bhavati. That's what it's described. Karmani akartur, although he has nothing to do in this world. Grahanaya pumsam, but still he does all those activities to set standards. Nanva anyatha, he has nothing else to do otherwise, Prabhupada writes as translation. Since the Lord is transcendental to all the material modes, paro gunanam, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? So it is so very astonishing. So, Vidurji, Uddhav may ask, why should the Lord, full of knowledge and bliss, involve himself in the material world of sin and piety? So Vidurji is saying, somebody can ask this question. So Vidurji is saying, Lord appears only to establish dharma. Although Lord appears, he appears to get entangled and works under the three modes, but still he never gets affected. Which verse says this? Lord never gets affected by the material modes. Although he is there in the Prakriti, in the first canto it has come. 10th chapter, very, very common verse we have discussed many times. You know, when Krishna enters the palaces of queens, and all the queens are trying to attract him, but he never gets affected. Etad ishanam ishasya prakritiyasthopi tadgunaihi na yujyate sadatmasthai yatha buddhi tadashraya. Etad isham, this is the divinity of the divine Lord. Prakritiyasthopi, although he is situated in the material world, na yujyate, he never gets affected by that. So Chakravarti Thakur also writes that that's true. You know, the Lord, he never gets affected, and he appears only for two purposes: to kill the wicked and to attract people. Grahanaya pumsam, the word used is grahanaya pumsam, to attract people by his pastimes. That's the only reason. That is the main reason Lord appears. He performs all the pastimes to attract the attention of people, because people of the world, they like adventure. They like some war, violence, some romance, some horror, some adventure, some mystery. So Krishna, he comes and he performs his pastimes, which has everything. All the emotions are there. So that's how Lord acts. Prabhupada writes, Namam Karmani Limpanti, all the work which Lord performs doesn't affect him. Ordinary living beings work for improvement of their conditioned lives, but the Lord is full of opulences. Why should he desire improvement? Lord is full. Why he works? Prabhupada writes, one who can come to the conclusion of Lord's transcendence can become devotee of the Lord. Lord has nothing to achieve in this world. Still he works to attract people's attention, so that the devotees can get attracted and people can get attracted. So that's what he describes in the next paragraph. His activities are to attract the ordinary men towards the Lord. The Lord always acts in favor of the devotees. And therefore, ordinary men who are fruitive workers or seekers of salvation may be attracted to the Lord when he acts as protector of devotees. That's why he performs superhuman pastimes. Prabhupada writes, he lifted Govardhan, killed Putna when he was few days old. All these are very astonishing acts. Just he does all that only to attract everyone. Okay, so then 45th verse. So therefore he says, after asking all these things and glorifying the Lord, now in 45th verse, Vidur is praying, therefore please glorify the Lord more. Tasya prasanna akhila lokapanam
Prasanna Akila
avastitana manushasane swe
Manushasanese
arthaya jatasya yudushvajasya vartam sakhe kirtayatirtha kirteh.
O my friend, please therefore chant the glories of the Lord, who is meant to be glorified in the places of pilgrimage. He is unborn, and yet he appears by his causeless mercy upon the surrendered rulers of all the parts of the universe. Only for their interest did he appear in the family of his unalloyed devotees of the Yadus.
Tasya prasanna akhila lokapanam. So he is, so those who are surrendered to him, It's actually all the rulers of the universe are surrendered to him. Avasthitana Manushasaneva, everybody is under his control. Madbhayad Vati Vatoyam, Suryastapati Madbhayad, Varshati Indro, Dahati Agni, Mrityushcharati Madbhayad. Everything is working under me. Kapila Devi is telling to his mother, out of my fear, wind is blowing, out of my fear, sun is rising, out of my fear, seasons are changing, out of my fear, death is coming. So everything in this world is Anushasane Sway. It is everybody is under the Anushashan. Shash, Shashan comes from Shash. Shash means to control. So one can control by two means, by Shastra and by Shastra. They both come from Shas Dhatu. Shas means control. So either you control by words or sword. So that is the understanding. So he's saying entire world is being controlled by him, Anushasane Sway. Arthaya Jatasya. But although he is unborn, he appears in the family of Yadus. Yadushvajasya is unborn, but still. So therefore, Varta, O Sakhe, O my friend Uddhava, please narrate, Kirtaya, please narrate wonderful glories of Tirtha Kirte. Tirtha Kirte means the Lord who is famous as a holy place. So this word Tirtha Kirte has come, a few times. Shivaya Naha Kirtaya Tirtha Kirte. Previously also Vidurji has spoken this. Tirtha Kirte. Tadasya Kausha Ravasharma Datu Hare Kathamev Katha Susaram Udhritya Pushpebhya Ivarta Bandho Shivaya Naha Kirtaya Tirtha Kirte. O Kausharava, O Maitreya, Hari Katha is Katha Susara. It is the essence of all the Katha. So just like honeybee takes the essence of the flower, you take the essence of Hari Katha from all the scriptures, and please tell me about that, because he is Tirtha Kirte here. He is famous as place of pilgrimage. Lord is famous as place of pilgrimage. That means he is famous to purify and deliver people, living entities, from this samsara. So Prabhupada writes how Krishna is the Supreme Lord, Ete Chamshkala Pumsa. And then Prabhupada writes, the purpose of pilgrimage is to remember the Lord constantly. And therefore, the Lord is known as Tirtha Kirti. The purpose of going to a place of pilgrimage is to get a chance to glorify the Lord. Even today, although times have changed, there are still pilgrimage sites in India. For example, in Mathura Vrindavan, where we had a chance to stay, people are awake early in the morning, 4 a.m. until night time, and are constantly engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord. So that's how Vidurji, he asks so many questions to Uddhava. And then from second chapter onwards, Uddhava will start answering. So we'll take just 5 minutes of break and then we'll continue. Thank you. Hare Krishna.